Welcome in everybody to year 3 of my rookie prospect profile series, where from now basically until the NFL draft, I'll be breaking down my top 12 non-quarterback rookies and then have another video on players that I'm targeting and fading in the second, third, and fourth round of your rookie drafts this year, and then a final additional video specifically on this quarterback class. So without further ado, my rookie 1.01 in one quarterback and superflex leagues this year is of course Bijan Robinson. It feels like we so easily toss around the word generational nowadays and give that label out to players who don't really deserve it, but Bijan Robinson is in fact a generational talent and would probably be the highest drafted running back in the NFL since Saquon Barkley. Taking a look at his college career, he rushed for 700 yards and 4 touchdowns in his freshman 2020 season in a shortened 9-game year due to COVID. He did lead the Longhorns backfield in rush attempts, basically starting as a 3-headed committee between him, a second-year Roschon Johnson, and a third-year Keontae Ingram. Oh, and Sam Ehlinger actually led the team in carries with 113, so there is that too. But in 2021, Bijan took the reins almost fully with over 1,100 yards and 11 touchdowns on 195 carries, plus an additional 300 yards and 4 touchdowns on 26 receptions. And then 2022, his junior season, almost 1,600 yards on 258 carries, another 300 yards through the air, 20 total touchdowns. It was everything that we wanted to see from the player that we had labeled as the rookie 1.01 this time last year. So let's take a look at the analytics world, my world, when looking at these college prospects. And if you've watched these videos before, you may be familiar with my marker system, which isn't like a fancy model or algorithm or anything like that, but it's simply a series of checkboxes or baselines that I want players to hit based on what previous successful NFL running backs did coming out of college. This year, though, I did switch up some of the markers. I previously used to have 8, and now I landed on 10 total markers for running back prospects. And those are first or second round draft capital, weight at or above 200 pounds, a BMI of 30 or above, a 40 time at or below 4.55, a speed score at or above 100, which if you don't know what speed score is, it's a standardization of a player's 40 time based on their weight, a burst score at or above 120. Again, if you don't know what this is a standardization of a player's vertical and broad jump, 1,000 total yards in their freshman or sophomore season, 1 season with 25 or more reception, a career yards per carry of 6.0 or greater, and 1 season averaging 20 fantasy points or more. Yes, college fantasy points, 1 season averaging 20 or more points per game. Again, these are all checkboxes based on what previously successful running backs in the NFL had coming out of college. And for reference, these are the top 12 players who hit either 9 or all 10 of my markers, highlighted, of course, by guys like Jonathan Taylor, Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey, Breece Hall, and Marshawn Lynch. Only one player here didn't get drafted in the first 2 rounds, and that was Elijah McGuire, the only blemish on this entire thing. But outside of him, this is a list that you want to be on, and guess what? Bijan is about to be the 13th player to join the club and will be the 4th perfect 10 out of 10 prospect since 2001, joining Marshawn Lynch, Jonathan Taylor, and Travis Etienne. Before continuing though, I wanted to mention that if you like this content and want to support what we're doing on this channel, please consider joining our YouTube memberships, where you will gain access to additional videos every single month, including a bank of 7 videos that you can watch already. Plus, we will be starting exclusive live streams when we have enough members, and I just posted a link to a Google Sheet that houses all of the data that I'm looking at for my marker system, everything that you want for running backs and wide receivers. It's all in that Google Sheet. So if you want access to all of that, check out the link in the description down below, join the bonus content tier, and thank you guys for checking it out. So since Bijan is, for all intents and purposes, the perfect prospect, I wanted to flip the script in this video and try to find reasons why Bijan might fail at the NFL level, why you shouldn't draft him at the 1.01. And to be honest, there really isn't a good argument outside of probably like injuries. Injuries are really the only thing that I can really find for why Bijan wouldn't be elite at the NFL level. Going back to the list of the 9s and 10s in this system, not counting Elijah McGuire, only 4 of the 11 players have failed to record at least 1 RB1 season. In fact, it's more likely that you would have multiple RB1 seasons in your career than to not have one at all if you are on this list. But let's take a look at the 4 who didn't. Those 4 are Travis Etienne, DeAndre Swift, Cam Akers, and Bishop Sankey. Etienne, I feel like we can give a pass to. He's only been in the league for 2 years and was hurt for 1 of them. Cam Akers and DeAndre Swift also have similar stories. They look great when they're on the field. It's just the getting on the field part. So that's 3 of the 4 guys all taken down by injuries so far in their careers. Nothing to do really with their actual talent. But then there's Bishop Sankey, and to be honest, I still don't really know what happened to Bishop Sankey. He led the Titans in carries his rookie year, but he wasn't all that good with the volume. Then he was getting healthy scratched from games his sophomore season, then cut and out of the league in year 3 because of an ACL injury. Just a really wild career for someone of his caliber coming out of college. And I've seen the stories and plays showing like his lack of vision. Obviously the team and situation were horrendous in Tennessee at the time, but I think Sankey is really more of a talent thing, like a Trent Richardson kind of player where college masked a lot of his weaknesses that the NFL wouldn't. So he just kind of flamed out once he got to the NFL. But those are literally the only arguments for how Bijan can fail at the NFL level. Either you believe he's not as talented as people think and that his skills won't transfer, or injuries, both of which are terrible arguments, really. Maybe the better question is, where can Bijan go in the NFL that would cause him to not reach his true ceiling? I think that could be a much better question. And to me, there's 2 landing spots that I don't really consider to be ideal, and yet are 2 of the more popular places that he's being mocked to, and that's Philadelphia and Buffalo, and both of them for basically the same exact reason. Of course, he would get a ton of rushing volume. He would have a lot of goal line opportunities. He would be in a lot of positive game scripts on 2 very good teams. Don't get me wrong, Philly and Buffalo would be good landing spots for a running back, but would his true ceiling be capped because of a lack of receiving work because of mobile quarterbacks? Both quarterbacks, Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen, to date, have not shown a need to check down to the running back much because they themselves could just scramble and pick up 10 to 15 or even the 20 yards they need just by running the ball, and they don't got to check down to the running back and add that extra step. Miles Sanders last year had 20 receptions and less than 100 receiving yards. That's primarily why he was a fantasy RB2 despite rushing for almost 1,300 yards and 11 touchdowns. More ideal landing spots would be places where a veteran is aging out and Bijan can just come in and fill that role, like Cincy if they cut Joe Mixon, Minnesota if they get rid of Dalvin Cook, Tennessee if they do trade Derrick Henry, or the Chargers if they trade Austin Eckler. Now, obviously, things would need to happen for the veteran, like they need to get cut or they need to get traded for that to be a good landing spot. And also, a couple of those teams shouldn't really be taking Bijan in the first. But I think it's fair to assume that he's going to be a top 25, if not top 15 to 20 pick. So someone is going to pull that trigger in that range. But regardless of where he lands, he will make an immediate impact and relegate anybody else in that backfield, almost irrelevant for fantasy. If he goes to Detroit, then I'm sorry DeAndre Swift, and I'm sorry David Montgomery. If he goes to Tampa Bay, sorry Rashad White. Kansas City, I'm sorry Isaiah Pacheco. Bijan Robinson is going to come in and just immediately disintegrate any other running back in that running back core. There is nowhere that he could land that would cause me to drop him from my 1.01, but rather dropping whoever the running backs are on those teams that he lands on already. But that's Bijan Robinson, a generational, essentially perfect running back prospect that is going to be a stud in the NFL for years to come. And if you're curious on what kind of trades that you can put together to either buy or sell the 1.01 this year, Russ and I actually did a whole show on that for both one quarterback and superflex leagues in this video right up here.